Andarki namaskaram. Welcome back to the course on tourism and travel management. I, Dr. 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 from Mahatma Gandhi University, will walk you through the module 10 of this course. The module 10 deals with special interest tourism. Special interest tourism anaga ప్రత్యేక ఆసక్తి పర్యాటకం. ఈ రోజు మనము ప్రత్యేక ఆసక్తి పర్యాటకం అనే టాపిక్ పైన చర్చిద్దాం. So this particular lecture is divided into two parts. The first part we will discuss about what exactly is special interest tourism, and then we'll discuss about the most important forms of special interest tourism. So first మనము స్పెషల్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ టూరిజం అనగా దాని డెఫినేషన్ గురించి కాస్త డిస్కస్ చేద్దాము. దాని తర్వాత టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ స్పెషల్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ టూరిజం గురించి డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం. So starting off with, what is special interest tourism? So special interest tourism, SIT, is a form of tourism where travelers are motivated by specific interest, hobbies or passions. The most important aspects of this particular type of tourism is specific interest, hobbies or passions. అంటే పర్యాటకులు వాళ్ళ స్పెసిఫిక్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్తో, వాళ్ళకు నచ్చిన హాబీస్తో, వాళ్ళు ఏ ఏరియాస్లో ప్యాషనెట్గా ఉన్నారో దాన్ని బట్టి వాళ్ళు ఒకవేళ ట్రావెలింగ్ అనేది అండర్టేక్ చేస్తే ఆల్ దిస్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ టూరిజం ఫాల్స్ అండర్ వాట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ అ స్పెషల్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ టూరిజం. ఇంట్రెస్ట్ అనేది ఒక్కొక్క వాళ్ళకు వేరే వేరేగా ఉంటాయి, వివిధ ఇంట్రెస్ట్లు ఉంటాయి. ఆ ఇంట్రెస్ట్లు అనేది ఒకవేళ మనం పర్స్యూ చేసి దాంతోపాటు ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఇన్వాల్వ్స్ అన్ అమౌంట్ ఆఫ్ ట్రావెలింగ్, దెన్ దోస్ పర్టిక్యులర్ టూరిజం విల్ ఫాల్ అండర్ దిస్ category which is called as special interest tourism. So to start off with, what is the difference between special interest tourism and the usual tourism that we undertake? అంటే జనరల్గా మనం సాధారణంగా అండర్టేక్ చేసే టూరిజాన్ని మనము మాస్ టూరిజం అని we will call it. The special interest tourism is something which is different from the mass tourism. యూజువల్గా టూరిజం అనేది when you undertake, there is something that motivates you. ఒక మోటివేషన్ వల్ల మనం ఏం చేస్తాము, ట్రావెలింగ్ అనేది అండర్టేక్ చేసుకుంటాం. ఆ మోటివేషన్స్ అనేది వేరే వేరే ఫార్మ్స్లో ఉంటాయి. కొంతమందికి ఏమవుతుంది, దే ఆర్ motivated by the what is called as leisure ga undali ani. Some of them want to travel and experience something new. Tourism anedi o experience anedi manam inta mundu manam discuss cheskunnamu. So when you know it is an experience, every time you do not want to experience the same thing. Ade experience anedi manam malla cheskovali anedi evariki undadu. So when you want to do something new, when you want to do what is called as, when you want to explore something new anedi, what we generally do is we try to explore what is it that interests us, and those are the areas that you want to pursue further. So manam edi manaku interest undo aa area ni manam further ga pursue chestamu. So when you pursue those interests, some of those interests when they involve travel, those particular interests which involves travel, those particular interests which involves moving from your usual residence to some other place, all of that is categorized as special interest tourism. So ఈ special interest tourism అనే దాన్ని మనము కొన్నిసార్లు we also call it as niche tourism, or we also call it as niche experiences. ఈ niche experience అనేది ఏంటి అనగా ప్రత్యేక అనుభవాలు, that which is customized to our interest. మన ఇంట్రెస్ట్ బట్టి మనం ఏదన్నా అండర్టేక్ చేసుకుంటే ట్రావెలింగ్, that falls under what is called as niche tourism. So ఇంట్రెస్ట్ అనేది వివిధ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉంటాయి. కొంతమందికి లైక్ ఐ సెడ్ ఎర్లియర్ లీజర్ ఉంటుంది, కొంతమందికి దే వాంట్ టు టేక్ అప్ సంథింగ్ అడ్వెంచరస్, సమ్ ఆఫ్ దెమ్ హ్యావ్ టు వాంట్ టు డూ సంథింగ్ న్యూ విచ్ నోబడీ ఎల్స్ హెస్ డన్. సో ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దీస్ కైండ్స్ ఆఫ్ టూరిజం, ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దీస్ కైండ్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్రావెల్ fall in this category which is called as special interest tourism. So these experiences are tailored to individual preferences. మనం గమనించాల్సిన పాయింట్ ఏంటి అంటే they are tailored to individual preferences. Now what we will do is some of the most important types of special interest tourisms గురించి మనం డిస్కస్ చేసుకుందాము, so that you are able to better understand what is special interest tourism. When you know the types, the understanding of what is it exactly అనేది becomes much more clearer. Now there are many different interests. మనం ఇంతకు ముందు డిస్కస్ చేసినట్టు ఇంట్రెస్ట్ అనేది వివిధ రూపాల్లో ఉంటాయి, వివిధ వాట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as motivations వల్ల మనం ట్రావెల్ చేస్తాం. బట్ ద మోస్ట్ ప్రామినెంట్ వన్స్ we will discuss in this particular class. So one of the first type of special interest tourism that we discussing about is related to films. Films is something that everybody indulges in as part of their relaxation routine అన్న, ఓ ఎంటర్టైన్మెంట్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ కావాలన్నా మనం ఏం చేస్తాం జనరల్గా, ఫిలిమ్స్ ఇస్ ఆర్ గెట్ అవే. అంటే మనం దాన్ని చూస్తే మనం ఉండే what is called problems ana, relaxation ana. These are something that you experience when you're watching a films. Now, ikkada manam chusedi entante one of the most famous films in recent times. We are seeing what is called as Bahubali set, and the set which has been set up at Ramoji Film Studio. We will discuss about this a little more in detail later. Gani, this is one kind of tourism related to films. Now, the second type of special interest tourism is what is called as wildlife tourism. Ee wildlife tourism anedi entante vanya ప్రాణాలకు సంబంధించిన tourism. So those people who are interested in wildlife, those people who are interested in seeing this wildlife in their own natural habitat, అంటే వాళ్ళ న్యాచురల్ హ్యాబిటాట్, బీట్ ఫారెస్ట్ ఆర్ వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇస్ దేర్ హ్యాబిటాట్, అవి ఎక్కడ ఉంటాయో అక్కడే మనం వాటిని వెళ్ళి అబ్జర్వ్ చేయాలని అనుకుంటే ద కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ట్రావెలింగ్ దట్ ఈస్ ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్ అండ్ ద కైండ్ ఆఫ్ వాట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as the entire exercise that is involved in observing this wildlife, that falls under the category of wildlife tourism. So we've discussed two most important ones. One is film tourism, the other one is wildlife tourism. Now this third one in this category is nature-based tourism. Nature-based tourism anedi is actually a part of your mass tourism, but there are what is called as so many different aspects to nature that some of them fall in this special category. Now, when you are interested in seeing some attraction that is based on nature paina base ayi edana attraction manam velli dani anubhavinchali ani anukunetappudu dani manam em chestamu ante nature-based tourism category kinda we will categorize it. Now, apart from nature-based tourism, the one which is gaining a lot of prominence ante ee madhya kalamlo ekko interest anedi generate ayyedi is called as culinary tourism. This culinary tourism is related to ఫుడ్ అనమాట. ఫుడ్కి సంబంధించి మనం ట్రావెల్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ ఏవి ఉన్నాయో దే ఆల్ కమ్ అండర్ వాట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as culinary tourism. So like I said, we've discussed about four major ones. We've discussed film, we've discussed wildlife, then we've discussed nature based, and finally we are going to discuss about culinary tourism. So ivi enti anedi manam discuss chedamu. Dini valla what is the impact on the society as such, and why should we encourage these kind of tourism, and why these kind of tourisms have gained significance or importance in recent times. So moving on, the first one what we are talking about is film tourism, also known as చలనచిత్ర పర్యాటకం. So చలనచిత్ర పర్యాటకం అనేది, this is one topic which is not new to all of us. All of us have watched films. We have all watched some kind of a video content. ఏదో ఒక వీడియో కాంటెంట్ అనేది మనం అందరము at some point of time we've watched it, and there is some content that we relate to and that we like. ఈ particular category లో films అనేది ఏమవుతుంది అంటే, when certain films become famous, అవి ప్రసిద్ధి చెందినప్పుడు, ఫిలిమ్స్ అన్న, టెలివిజన్ సిరీస్ అన్న ఫేమస్ అయ్యేటప్పుడు, ఆ ఫిలిమ్స్ అన్న, ఆ టీవీ సీరియల్స్ అన్న ఏ లొకేషన్స్లో షూట్ చేశారో, ఏ డెస్టినేషన్స్లో షూట్ చేశారో, సమ్ టైమ్స్ దోస్ డెస్టినేషన్స్ బికమ్ అ ప్లేస్ ఆఫ్ అట్రాక్షన్ ఫర్ అస్. అవి ఓలాంటి అట్రాక్షన్ అనేది ఫామ్ అవుతాయి. దట్ ఈస్ దేర్ ఇన్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ అస్ వెన్ వీ సీ సర్టన్ ఫిలిమ్స్. నౌ ఫర్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్, ఇంతకు ముందు మనము బాహుబలి సెట్ అనేది మనం చూసాం. సో ఆల్ ఆఫ్ అస్ ఆర్ క్యూరియస్. ఏంటంటే మనకి ఒక ఇంట్రెస్ట్ అనేది ఉంటుంది. ఆ సెట్ ఎలా కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ చేశారు, ఎలా ఎరెక్ట్ చేశారు, అంత పెద్ద లార్జ్ స్కేల్ సెట్స్ అనేది ఎలా బిల్డ్ చేశారు, అది రియల్ లైఫ్లో ఎలా ఉంటుంది అనేది మనం వెళ్ళి ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ చేయాలని మనకు ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉంటుంది. సో వెన్ రిలేటెడ్ టు ఫిలిమ్స్ యూ ఇండల్జ్ ఇన్ ట్రావెలింగ్, దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as film tourism. So ఈ film tourismలో what happens is the travel is motivated by your interest in movies అండ్ టీవీ సిరీస్. సో ఈ టీవీ సిరీస్ అనేది ఏవి ప్రసిద్ధి చెందుతాయో వాటి డెస్టినేషన్స్ చూడాలని అనుకునేటప్పుడు ఆల్ ద ట్రావెల్ దట్ ఈస్ ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్ ఇన్ సీయింగ్ దోస్ డెస్టినేషన్స్ ఫాల్స్ అండర్ ఫిలిం టూరిజం కేటగిరీ. ఈ ఫిలిం టూరిజం మనము ఇప్పుడు when we talk about this film tourism, these are some of the most famous heroes that you've come across. Now we have NTR, and then we have Nageshwara. We also have the Hindi film stars Shah Rukh Khan, Ranveer Singh, and then Hrithik Roshan, and we also have our very own latest movie stars Junior NTR and Ram Charan. Now these people have been involved in some huge hits. Veelu these cinemalu koni prasiddhi chendayi, all over the world they are famous. Now these films, when they are shot, some of them are shot in live destinations or live locations, and some of them are shot in studios. Konni studios lo shoot aithe, konni live destinations and live locations lo shoot chestaru. So those డెస్టినేషన్స్ బికమ్ అన్ అట్రాక్షన్ ఫర్ పీపుల్. అవి ఎలా ఉన్నాయి అని చూడడానికి చాలా మంది ఇంట్రెస్ట్ చూపిస్తారు. సో ఆల్ దోస్ పీపుల్ హు ట్రావెల్ అక్రాస్ అండ్ కమ్ టు సీ దోస్ డెస్టినేషన్స్ అండ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ దట్ విచ్ ఇస్ ఆన్ స్క్రీన్ ఇన్ రియల్ లైఫ్, that is the motivation behind film tourism. Now for instance, like we discussed, it is motivated by movies and TV series. So ee film series valla manaku వచ్చే లాభాలు ఏంటి? Now the most important what is called as benefit from film tourism is it boosts local economy and global visibility. It boosts local economy and global visibility ante local economy ante enti? By virtue of the film studio being in a certain place, there is certain employment opportunities that are created. A particular place lo edi unnado a film studio locate ayi unnado akkada local vallaku employment opportunities anedi create avutundi. Adi kaaka em avutundi ante that place becomes globally visible. A place anedi all over the world lo famous avutundi. So there are people who recognize that ee palana film studio ఈ పలానా స్టూడియోలో ఎరెక్ట్ చేశారు, ఈ పలానా స్టూడియోలో ఈ సెట్ అనేది ఫిల్మ్ షూట్ చేశారు. సో దట్ ప్లేస్ బికమ్స్ వాట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ అస్ గ్లోబల్ విజిబిలిటీ అనేది గెయిన్ అవుతుంది. దాన్ని మనం ఏమంటాము అంటే లోకల్ ప్రమోషన్ అని కూడా అంటాము. నౌ మూవింగ్ ఆన్ టు ఇట్, వాట్ ఈస్ ద మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ బెనిఫిట్ ఆఫ్ ఫిల్మ్ టూరిజం ఇస్ from the tourist point of view. These tourists are categorized as film fans or TV series fans, and these fans, what they get in return is they are able to relive on-screen experiences in real locations. అంటే ఏంటి, ఆన్ స్క్రీన్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ అనేది ఏవున్నాయో వాళ్ళు రియల్ లైఫ్లో ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ చేసే ఛాన్స్ అనేది వాళ్ళకు కలిగిస్తాము త్రూ ఫిల్మ్ టూరిజం. సో లైక్ ఐ సెడ్, many big heroes have what is called as starred in huge films which required huge sets, and all of those have become destinations of or places of attraction for tourists. Now based on this logic, some of the studios వాళ్ళు ఏం చేశారు అంటే ఈ ఫిలిం సెట్స్ని డిస్మాంటిల్ చేయకంటే దాన్ని మళ్ళీ తీసేయకుండా దాన్ని అలాగే మెయింటైన్ చేసి అ డెస్టినేషన్ ఆర్ రాదర్ అ ప్లేస్ ఆఫ్ అట్రాక్షన్గా దాన్ని క్రియేట్ చేయగలిగారు. సో వాట్ ఈస్ హ్యాపెనింగ్ ఇస్ దేర్ ఆర్ many tourists, what they do is to relive that on-screen experience. వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తారు అంటే they visit some of the studios. So here on screen what happens is I have put certain shots of one of the biggest studios in the world, which is Universal Studios. ఈ Universal Studios అనేది it is present all over the world. It is there in Florida, Singapore, Japan and China, and approximately there are 62 million people who visit these studios. So 62 million tourists are visiting Universal Studios, and when they visit Universal Studios, 62 million వాళ్ళు Universal Studios ni visit చేస్తే just imagine the kind of revenue that they are able to generate. So film tourism is one way to also generate revenue. So apart from Universal Studios, we have our very own studios, which is the Ramoji Film City. So Ramoji Film City anedi is recognized by the Guinness World Records as the largest film studio in the world, and it has approximately 1.5 million visitors each year. 1.5 million visitors come and see Ramoji Film Studios, and the reason why they come is the simple reason is to live their on-screen experiences in real life. On-screen lo choose experiences anedi real life lo vallu anubhavinchali ani ee film studios ki visit chestaru. So they are a source of huge income. Now what, like I said, there are certain benefits that are attached to film tourism. ఆ బెనిఫిట్స్ అనేది ఏంటి అని మనం గమనిస్తే, the first one is all film studios are a destination magnet. Destination magnet అంటే ఏంటి, they are able to bring in tourists, they are able to pull tourists to the film studios. That is one of the most important benefit. Now the second one is they have cultural branding and promotion. Cultural branding and promotion ante enti, like I said, this particular locale where the film studio is situated, adi ekkada situate aindo aa place anedi all over the world lo famous avutundi. That is one point. Then moving on to the next one is economic impact. Ante employment generate avutundi, employment opportunities generate ayyetappodiki revenue generate ayye chances untundi. So that is as far as economic impact is concerned. Akkadunde local unde businesses kuda there is chance for them to thrive. Now apart from these things, the most important aspect is it contributes to regional branding. Like I said, the place becomes famous all over the world. Now The next particular tourism what we are talking about is called as wildlife tourism, which is called as 𝗬𝗏𝗧 𝗏𝗏. It is a form of special interest and nature-based tourism where travelers visit destinations to observe, photograph and experience wildlife in their natural habitats. So in their natural habitats ante వాళ్ళ normal habitat where they are, instead of observing them in some kind of caged zoos or ekkado, అవి natural habitat ekkada unnayo, natural surroundings ekkada undo akkada elli manam okavela ee wildlife ni observe cheyalanna, vaatini photograph cheyalanna, aa particular wildlife ela untaru anedi manam experience cheyalanna, all that falls under what is called as wildlife tourism kindiki vastundi. So these wildlife tourism anedi దేనిపైన ఫోకస్ చేస్తుందంటే it focuses on wild animals, on the bird watching and the ecosystem. అంటే అక్కడ చుట్టుపక్కన ఉండే ecosystems ఏంటి అనేది దానిపైన ఫోకస్ అనేది ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది. So some of the most famous what is called as wildlife tourism activities that we undertake is, one is safaris, the second one is bird watching, trekking and marine life tours apart from photography expeditions. So ivanni enti ante activities which are connected to what is called as wildlife tourism. So either you go on a safari or you go for bird watching, all of these are part of what is called as wildlife tourism lo part anamata. Now here especially I wanted to mention, this is some of the recently famous wildlife tourism that has been gaining a lot of significant importance and prominence. Idoka special kind of tourism anta. Here what we see is a photo of somebody who's gone for whale watching. Whales anedi are supposed to be the largest mammals on earth. Largest mammals ante one of the biggest animals on earth category kindiki vachedi, mammal kindi category kindiki vachedi whales. And it's not easy for us to spot them and it's not easy for us to observe them. Vaatini manam observe cheyalante you have to go into the depths of the ocean or further down the ocean and then you need to observe them. So what in observe cheyadam anedi oka significant importance gain ayi, that has become one of a part of an adventure tourism which many of them are undertaking it. Now apart from whale tourism, there is another one what I wanted to discuss which is called as bioluminescence tourism. Ee bioluminescence tourism anedi enti ante the ocean, because of certain chemicals at certain period of time it becomes shining like this. Idi చూడడానికి కూడా చాలా మంది ఏం చేస్తారు అంటే they have been indulging in traveling and going to those places to watch this particular phenomena. So these are some of the two most what is called as recent గా ఎక్కువ ఇంపార్టెన్స్ గెయిన్ అయ్యే type of wildlife tourism. Now what is benefits of wildlife tourism ఏంటి అంటే, when you go to the natural habitat of the wildlife, మనం ఏం నేర్చుకుంటాము అంటే we are able to protect that wildlife in its natural habitat. So what it actually becomes is, it becomes a bridge between tourism and conservation. Ante tourism and conservation madhyalo adokati untundi. So whatever revenue is generated through wildlife tourism, that is helpful for conservation funding, and like I said, it creates economic opportunities. Awareness anedi okati perugutundi regarding wildlife, and most important, like I said, when you're involved in conserving the wildlife in their natural habitat, what you're actually doing is sustainable travel anedi manam undertake chestunnam. So this is as far as what is called as wildlife tourism benefits are concerned. The next point is, what are the challenges of wildlife tourism? Wildlife tourism anedi manam undertake chesi dani promote cheyali ani there is a lot of talk that is happening, but then it also involves huge challenges and risk that you have to undertake. One of the challenges that you talk about is called as over tourism. Then that can only be overcome with strict regulation and responsible behavior. Over tourism ante enti, manamu వన్యప్రాణుల న్యాచురల్ హ్యాబిటాట్కి వెళ్ళి వాటిని మనము గమనిస్తాము, అబ్జర్వేషన్ అన్న ఫోటోగ్రాఫ్ చేస్తాం. సో దెర్ ఇస్ అ ఛాన్స్ దట్ వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు డిస్టర్బ్ దట్ న్యాచురల్ హ్యాబిటాట్. సో వితౌట్ డిస్టర్బింగ్ దట్ న్యాచురల్ హ్యాబిటాట్, ద టూరిజం ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ హ్యాస్ టు బి కండక్టెడ్. సమ్ టైమ్స్ దెర్ ఇస్ అ ఛాన్స్ దట్ వీ do what is called as over tourism avutundi and we disturb the natural habitat, and that eventually leads to what is called as unsustainable practices which should not be encouraged. Adi manam responsible ga unte that does not happen. Now moving on, this is the photo of what is called as an example of what wildlife tourism can be. This is in Africa, Nairobi. This is called as giraffe manure, where you are able to sit and have breakfast, dinner and live along with the wildlife. This is one of the most famous wildlife tourism packages that are what is called as sold across the world. Now, apart from this, you have what is called as, in Kenya, you have what is called as this Masai Mara area. Dantlo em avutundante this wild beast migration anedi it takes place. So here some lakhs, 1.5 million deers, gazelles, zebras, they follow the rain ni follow avukunta across this Masai Mara desert lo వాళ్ళు travel చేస్తారు. So that is supposed to be one of the biggest migration phenomena that happens in the world. Migration ante ఓ place నుంచి ఇంకో place కి move అవ్వడం. So this phenomena attracts huge number of tourists, and it is something that has to be seen to experience it. So this is some of the most important what is called as famous wildlife tourism that we have. Now, apart from this, in India, you have a lot of wildlife tourism sanctuaries that are available. One of the famous one is what is there in Jammu and Kashmir. Then we have Anamalai in Tamil Nadu. Then we also have Dandeli in Karnataka. Apart from that, you have Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary in Rajasthan. So, ivi koni famous sanctuaries in India. So, India also, because of its diverse, what is called as environmental conditions, it is also famous for what is called as many wildlife sanctuaries where you can go and indulge in wildlife tourism. Now, moving on to the next particular tourism, what we are talking about is called as nature-based tourism. So, nature-based tourism anedi prakruti paryatakam anedi manamu we call it as that. So, in this what happens is you talk about what is called as nature-based tourism, or we talk about something which is called as ecotourism. Ee ecotourism la focus anedi deni paina untundante, it is mostly on plants and botanical diversity. Ante it is basically on plant life and botanical diversity. Ante evevi unnayo dan basis paina manam indulge chese tourism anedi is called as nature based tourism. So India, like I said, is equipped with or is what is called as bountifully abundant in lots of botanical gardens which you can see to experience these plant and what is called as biological diversity there. So you have, for example, across the world, the most famous one is the Tulip Festival, and then you have the Valley of Flowers in Uttarakhand in India, which is one of the most famous biological parks that are there. Now, this is an example of the Valley of Uttarakhand. This is exactly how it looks. Idi exact ga manam choose picture la manam a particular time period ki Uttarakhand elte, the Valley of Flowers looks exactly like this. Now, apart from Valley of Flowers, another famous one what is there is you have what is known as the Tulip Festival in Kashmir, and this is another most famous what is called as biological park. So these are some of the biological parks in Calcutta and Bangalore and this. And finally, we'll come to the last one, which is called as culinary tourism. And culinary tourism, like I said, is tourism that is linked to food. It's also called as gastronomy tourism. So this tourism is a kind of a tourism where travelers explore and experience a destination through its food, beverages and culinary traditions. So food ki relate ayye tourism manam edi undertake chestamo adi culinary tourism anedi anamata. So India is a place, like we know, diverse food traditions are also existing, and it becomes a potential culinary destination. So all that which is related to food, street foods, fine dining, local markets, food festival, all that comes under food experiences, vantaka anubhavalu anabadtundi. Then you have something where some people come to learn how that particular dishes are made, cooking and learning. So this is another kind of a tour part, what is called a sub part of culinary tourism, where people come to learn how to cook a particular dish and they are experiencing that particular local cuisine. Then we have what is known as beverage tourism, where it is all related to what is called as the beverage industry, where you have what is called as wine trails, brewery visits, tea, coffee plantations. So ee beverages ane taste cheyadaniki avi ela perugutayi, avi ela tayar chestadani daniki relate unde tourism ni manam beverage tourism ani cheptam. Then finally you have what is called as, what does this tourism do is, it increases the cultural connection, the connection between the tourist and the country that you're visiting or the destination that you're visiting. There is a cultural connect that happens between these two people. Now, this is examples of some of the most famous food that we have. You have what is called as Delhi food, street food, and then you have Japanese sushi, which are some of them. And you have the same importance that is there. It supports the local industries, local farmers, and then there is an economic value which is created due to employment opportunities. And also, it is a unique experience. Food is something that is unique in itself. Every dish is different. And when you experience it, you are experiencing what is called as something very different from the usual anamata. So with that, I hope you've understood this class on special interest tourism. So we've talked about what is special interest tourism, and then we've discussed about the 4 major types, that is film, wildlife, then we have what is called as nature-based tourism, and also we've discussed about culinary tourism. So this is just an introduction to what are the different types of special interest tourism. There are many more that are there in the category, but the most important ones are what we have discussed today. Thank you so much for a patient hearing, and I hope to see you in your next class.